Hello everyone, welcome to our Tuesday day early comic review video. I'm Jason,
I'm Andy.
and we're with Infinity Flux Comics out of Chattanooga, Tennessee. And oh, what a week we have for comics. This is one of these weeks that really gets me excited for just comics readers, the comics industry,
Mhm.
because we have a strong showing from Marvel, a strong showing from DC, and a strong showing from all the indie publishers as
Mhm.
well. I mean, we've been reading since the moment we got
Yeah.
here, and I'm surprised we got ready in time. I think we're going to go over like maybe 30 different comics. So we're going to try to speed the show up just a little bit.
Yeah, but
Um,
definitely highlight the ones everyone wants to hear about.
yeah, so you can already see some of them in front of us. We have off to the side many others, the best variant covers, some incentive covers, the whole shebang. So, what we see as our job on this show is we try to tell you the major reasons you might want to buy or read a comic, whether it's a first appearance, death, or if it's just let us tell you about the story or let us tell you
Mhm.
about the art. But we try to do it spoiler light. We don't try to do a here's every little thing in it. That way you can pick it up and you can still enjoy it for yourself.
Yes.
So without further ado, we need to dive into it this week.
Dive in with a book that people have been asking about, they've been waiting for. It is Ghost Rider #1. So this kicks off a brand new run. I forgot what they said. It's like the
The
eighth,
11th. It
11th.
is the
I was about to
11th
say eighth. It's
Ghost
the
Rider #1 that
11th
they've done.
Ghost Rider #1. But people still are clawing back for more. This time we are back with Johnny Blaze. The OG Ghost Rider is kind of our protagonist in this one, and I'll start by saying something I really liked about this, which some people may not like, but I like that this does have a lot of setup, but it makes it feel, when you set up long at the front, it makes you feel like the story is going to be a substantial story and it if it's done well, and this is done well. So, uh, what we pick up in this is Johnny Blaze is actually in therapy, which
I can believe
he
that.
definitely needs, but something's up here. So he is no references of Ghost Rider. He apparently has had a very severe motorcycle wreck and had to have surgery. He has some memory loss. But he is happily married, has two kids, living in a great town. Um, but he is plagued by nightmares. And even the therapist asks if he has any waking nightmares, which he says no. But then he turns and looks at somebody, and they're a giant, horrible monster. So
He's holding back.
he's got some serious issues going on, but for the most part, no Ghost Rider in sight. He is kind of fearful of, and his wife is fearful of his bike that he kept. It's in the garage, but this is kind of exploring Johnny Blaze. It's setting up kind of a mystery of like what's going on. Why isn't there any Ghost Rider-y things going on? Which you'll have to read to find out. I mean, this is a Ghost Rider book, but it does set up a very interesting mystery and kind of a new start for Johnny Blaze that I think is really good, especially for people who haven't read that character. Maybe they've read Danny Ketch or Robbie Reyes or any number of Ghost Riders. This is a great #1 that pretty much gets you up to speed and definitely leaves you wondering what is going to happen next. Because the presence of Ghost Rider is there. Now, some other big things is while this is going on with this town and the people in this town, and even his Johnny Blaze's father-in-law runs a mechanics shop that Johnny Blaze works for, which is very apt. Um, there is an FBI agency. We're not quite sure like proximity to where Johnny Blaze is, but it seems that some of the people working at this FBI station are former Shield agents, and Shield was disbanded, and so now they kind of work for local law enforcement. We do get some first appearances in this that I feel like are like we always say, when a character is put, a lot of design goes into them, you can be sure that they are going to be a key player. So there's a new agent called Agent Talia Warroad, which is like the most like
Yeah,
Ghost
she's
Rider.
something.
I mean, the
War
last
Road. Yeah,
it is
that's not a
literally
background character.
WARROAD Warroad, and she is actually kind of a paranormal investigator, former like paranormal investigator for Shield, is now working in this, and a lot of the other police officers think it's kind of a joke that there's this, even though they live in the Marvel universe where there's like literal ghost superheroes. Um, so she is brought in. We only get a little bit of that. We do know from solicitations that they are going to be investigating Ghost Rider coming up, and I can imagine she's gonna help lead this team. Now, the other first appearance is a character named Zeb, and he's a very mysterious character, but in this idyllic town, he tends to point out some of the kind of the skeletons in the closet of this town, and seems to have some kind of power. I imagine this may end up being one of our big antagonists of the series, but you'll have to read to find out. I don't want to spoil a lot. This is a thick book. I think this is an oversized issue 1. That's all kind of in the first half of it. You'll have to read to see the second half, how crazy it gets. But I think for Ghost Rider fans, if you are okay taking the proverbial ride along with Johnny Blaze, that you'll be very happy by the end of it. So this is the A cover. Of course, this is a lot of covers because people are very excited about
number
this.
one of an A-list hero.
Yes. We have the LaRocca cover.
And he's back on a motorcycle, too. I mean, Robbie Reyes is great with the car, but,
Yeah.
you know, I grew up with Dan Ketch. Like, I want a motorcycle.
So we have, speaking of Robbie Reyes, and the way they're kind of talking about this series.
That's a Peach Momoko, right?
Yeah, this is a Peach Momoko cover. I feel like we are going to start getting some of the other Ghost Riders involved in this.
I thought as much, considering that, you know, Reyes is on that cover. Yeah. That's usually a hint of things
especially
to come.
This cover. So this is the Ryan Stegman, and this is a wraparound cover. How cool is this? It has all the Ghost Riders on it.
I know. I saw that Cosmic Ghost Rider was on the front there.
Cosmic Ghost Rider, Vengeance, Dan Ketch, Ghost Rider 2099, the robot.
Yeah.
They're all on that cover. Such a cool cover. I'm surprised this is not an incentive. We've got the
that's a good pickup.
Fornes variant.
The sneaky one. I remember when this was on Comics from the Future. When we showed that,
this one's funny too because the kind of Mayberry idyllic town. It kind of gives the idea of that like snooping neighbor, this time the snooping neighbor is Ghost Rider.
Ghost Rider with his vengeance stare or his penance stare.
We've got the X-Gwen variant. Her is Emma Frost. We've got the Todd Knock headshot variant, which actually works pretty well with this. Skulls just they float better than other heads. We have the 1 in, let's see, I'll do the 1 in 25 first. This is the 1 in 25 Sue variant that we are selling for $20. Really cool classic bike there. And then we have the 1 in 50 In-Hyuk Lee variant that we are selling for $45 to our customers.
Okay, so I'm going to start out with Carnage Forever. So I have several things to say about this. First off, this is a one-shot, okay? It has 3 stories in it. Really, it has 2 stories and a third just sort of funny little thing I'll get to later. So Carnage is getting his own full series later, but this is just a little one-shot before that. And for those of you wondering, it does bridge into that. The second story, which I'll talk about in a minute, has something that happens in it that is directly going to affect this ongoing series, which is also written by Ram V. So we have our first story is by Philip Kennedy Johnson, and in that Carnage fuses with a little girl. So it's her first appearance. Her name is Elsie. She's not been anything else, and she is this little homeless girl who has been just badly abused by her parents, and she just has a bad life. So Carnage fuses with her. First time this happens, will she be back? I don't know. It definitely leaves the door open for that. But I will say the story is really good. It's sort of the main story of it. It's about over the first half of the comic is this story of her meeting with Carnage. How do they meet? Why do they meet? You know, how does this whole fusion work with this little girl? And what sort of revenge do they sort of get together? She's a really good vessel because she's been through so much pain and people have treated her so bad to have this power that is hungry and likes to kill and occasionally wants to get away with it, wants to do away with people that maybe, heroes won't, I guess it won't be as reported to the police.
Yeah.
So a very grim first story, really well told, good art. And I don't know if this Elsie character will be back or not. I collect pretty much all, if a symbiote bonds with somebody, if unless it's like a big crazy what if thing, I'm grabbing it. But good read as well. The second story is by Ram V. So Ram V is going to be the writer for the ongoing Carnage book. And in this, Carnage is seemingly breaking a Spider-Man villain out of prison. Now, why is he doing that? That's kind of the question of the issue. That's the question the villain has. You'll have to wait and see. But let's say by the end of this, it seems that Carnage may have acquired a major new power. And, it has one of those things where it ends on, oh my goodness, and then it says to be continued in Carnage #1. And once again, this is by the same writer, so I think that is a setup to lead directly in to a new power he's going to have for that series. So if you're thinking about picking up the ongoing, this is the one to get before that. So the last thing is, it's just a one-page thing they did in this, but I thought it was really fun. It's by Ty Templeton. It is sort of a parody. Honestly, it is a parody of Sunday Morning Comics, but with Carnage. So there's a Family Circus parody, which is really funny, where Carnage is one of the kids. And there's a Dennis the Menace parody, but Carnage is Dennis the Menace.
Carnage the Menace.
Yeah, and it's just as, deadly and gruesome as you'd expect. So I've enjoyed it greatly. There's also a word jumble.
Oh, fun.
Yeah, so I don't know. Marvel, I really like what they do with these anthology books. It's like they really tell the writers, have a good time.
Yeah.
I've enjoyed all the Black, White, and Blood stuff. This feels in the vein of that, except that this is going to carry over into the main Carnage series. And I'm also interested to see if they don't bring Elsie back. I really liked her and what they did with her in this one. I'd like to see her again. I hope they bring her back and it wasn't just a one-time thing. So we have some variant covers, of course. Here is the Delgado variant. And here is the Pinosian 1 in 25. We were selling for $35. One last thing I'll say is in the second story with Ram V, Carnage talks about how it is kind of coming into its own and has only started to realize it could be its own thing apart from Cletus. And that's definitely a first.
Yeah.
I mean, there's, Carnage and Venom have both been very much symbiotes. They need their host. And now each of them, with Carnage feeling that way, is sort of getting a little bit of their own personality.
Yeah.
So
yeah, they've definitely been exploring what are they aside from the person that they're on. So okay, I talk about my first three today are #1s and pretty big deals. Is my long-awaited Aquaman #1. Not Aquaman, Aquamen. So Aquaman has not had his own title in a year or so, but there has been the Black Manta miniseries and the Aquaman the Becoming series about Jackson Hyde that just wrapped up just a week or so ago. And this is those series led into this one. Now, you definitely don't have to have read those to get what's going on. There is like one thing that's like, find out how Black Manta got his new trident in the Black Manta series. But if you can just assume he got a trident of his own, you're good. In this, we have a giant sea creature that is attacking a city. It kind of floods a city and attacks. I forgot where the city is. And of course, like any Aquaman story, Aquaman and Aqualad, who Jackson Hyde is now also referred to as Aquaman, which I'm wondering how they're going to continue that through the series, because there's even kind of like a news report in it where someone's like, "Oh yes, I'm getting word this other man is also called Aquaman." I don't know if he'll get his own name or what, or Aquaman may be dying in Justice League. We'll have to see. Uh, but while that is going on, while the sea creature is attacking elsewhere in the country, not around water, I think it's like Ohio and a couple other places, um, there is just some regular citizens who start to have weird ailments. One guy kind of has a bloodshot eye. It's almost like pink eye, and he's like calling his work saying, "I'm not going to be in." Uh, but those things get worse and worse, and until they turn into these people speaking in a different language and all out attacking things around them. And Black Manta is gets an alert about this and is going to investigate. So this issue is kind of about how do these um, situations, this one that Aquaman and other Aquaman are dealing with, and what Black Manta is dealing with, and how are they connected, and how are they connected to Atlantis. Um, it's a very interesting beginning to a series because it's not very dialogue heavy. I mean, there's plenty of dialogue, but it's not weighted in exposition or anything. It definitely is setting up a mystery for what this series is going to be and how it involves these characters, and then possibly working together, Black Manta and Aquaman. So I really liked it. The art was really good. I like that the supporting characters in the Aquaman world are seemingly just as important as Arthur as in this. And I'm interested to see where it goes. This, like I said, it was a good first issue, but it still leaves a lot to be explained. So I kind of wish this was a double size issue because I would like to like get into like we know there's kind of from the solicitations like Atlantean sleeper agents and all of that, but we don't quite know like why and what's the ultimate goal of it. But it was a great first issue. I'm very happy that Aquaman is back in a title. And this is written by the creative teams behind Aquaman the Becoming and Black Manta, which is Chuck Brown and Brandon Thomas. And the art is by Sammy Bessery. So, of course, we're going to have some variants for this as well. We have the Black History Month Franklin variant with Jackson, and I believe that's that's Black Manta just out of his suit. Then we have the this is the Robles variant. We have the Kale New variant. Of course, we have a nice aquatic sketch cover. It feels like you could draw your fish in there and make it a little aquarium scene.
Bowl around it.
And then we have the 1 in 25 Jim Lee variant that we are selling to our customers for $25.
All right, so I'm going over a DC one next as well. I read Detective Comics issue 1054. This, of course, continues the Arkham Asylum arc, which has been a weekly arc. I've mentioned every single time. It's really nice to just have the same thing to read every week that's just going, just flying by. So this will end at issue 1058. That means that we are officially slightly halfway through once you've read this issue. So in this, it begins with sort of at the end of the last one where the party crashers are fighting with the Bat family in the caves of Gotham. Okay, so there's a cool battle there, but where the story really takes place is Dr. Ware is giving a big speech. And he has some very big plans after this speech. But we get to see everyone who he has been working with and what their plans are that he doesn't know. and it seems Dr. Ware he's built a lot of enemies. He has kind of laid in bed with a lot of other villains to get the money and the funding to have Arkham Tower go the way he wants. But of course, he has his plans, and we learn sort of finally, if you haven't already guessed, why he is doing this and what his end goal is. So that's all going down. But the problem is, and I'm finally going to talk about this in a spoiler way because
it's been
going
enough.
on long enough, right? So the patients have been under the control of Psycho Pirate. I've given everyone at least a month to have heard that somewhere else. It's hard to talk about this weekly thing without revealing something that happened way back. So Psycho Pirate is the one who is making all the patients at Arkham Tower not crazy. But he can only do that for so long. I mean, that is tough. That is a lot of people. He has to stay focused. Well, his hold is loosening. And in this issue, it finally breaks. So the first half is the speech. You find out what Ware's up to. You find out who all is coming for him and why. The second half is where the excrement really hits the fan.
Ew, I feel like saying it that way is even worse.
We got to keep this PG. YouTube is always scanning the videos for the 4-letter words. I used an 8-letter or however many letters. But things get really, really bad because Psycho Pirate loses his control. In the second half, it goes back to what we saw in the flash forward early on, where the tower is, I mean, things are bad there. The inmates have taken over. Much of the Bat family is trapped inside. And I mean, we're talking, this place is just full of villains who have had to be good for a long time. There's immediately killings. I mean, just immediate. The minute, like, Psycho Pirate's power's done, killings begin. And so the second half is really thrilling, really cool, but there's so much more to come. The backup story now, House of Gotham. This is part 8 of that. I keep having to talk about this one too because it's really, really good. So Rosenberg's writing this one, and I wish when I first started reading it there was a little preface as to what he was doing, because while it's been good, I haven't understand what the focus is until this one, and that could just be me. He is trying to show the events of Batman and Gotham, the effects on one lone orphan. That's what he's showing. And in this one, because enough time has passed, I see what he's doing. This is set with that same orphan kid we've seen in the others, who feels like he was left behind by Bruce Wayne's orphanage. He was kind of pulled into a life of crime, and he's done some bad things, but you know, he's just had bad influences. Well, in this one, this is set after Bane has broken Batman's back, and Azrael is the new Batman. And so Bruce is in his wheelchair, and he tells Robin, he's like, hey, there's this one orphan kid. You need to go save him. And Robin's like, that kid's no good. And he's like, no, we failed him. Go save him. And Robin's like, yeah, but Azrael's out there, and Azrael is not going to cut this kid a break. So Robin goes to try to save him. And yes, Azrael shows up. You have to see what happens. It's gruesome. It's messed up. It's a very good backup story of its own right. I don't know why it didn't get its own comic, to tell you the truth.
Do you feel like that character is going to become something at the end of it? Like he's going to take up some either hero or villain mantle?
I don't, but we'll see, because we know early on that Scarecrow made him this deep sleeper agent, and that hasn't all come to fruition yet. So I don't know what's going to happen, but the backup story was cool. I really dig it, and I just had to tell everyone this is what I see it as now, in case anyone was like, what is going on with that story? So we have a Lee Bermejo variant to the latest issue of Detective Comics 1054. I'll be sad when this is done being weekly, but it's been a fun ride so far.
Yeah, it's always tough when it's a weekly. If it's good, you can't wait for the next one. You hate to be over. If it's bad, you're like, oh no, I'm stuck with this for a while, but I'm so glad it's good and it's interesting and it's bringing a lot of new stuff to the table.
And not a lot of Batman in it, which is fine because he is just so in everything. It's cool that everyone else gets to shine.
Okay, my next one is, it's a big one. You might even say it's Supermassive. Been waiting for this one for quite a while. This is the first big crossover in the Radiant verse. I think that's what they call it at the end. Of spinning out of Radiant Black. and setting up some things that are going to be coming in the future. So this is really cool because um, the way I described it to Jason is it's like you took like a 3 issue or a 6 issue event book, like a not necessarily a Final Crisis, not that big, but like something that would normally be several issues long and have the big villain at the end and everything, and it crams it, but in a good way, into a single oversized issue. So you get the setup, you get everything, and you get a conclusion. And I think that is really nice. It's a nice, refreshing thing of like, it is very quickly paced, but it doesn't feel like it's hard to follow. And in it, Radiant Black meets our new characters. So there's Inferno Girl Red, which this is her first appearance, and Rogue Sun, who will be getting his own ongoing series very, very soon, like within a week or so, I want to say.
So this is Rogue Sun's first appearance
It's
as well?
Rogue Sun's first appearance. Now, Inferno Girl Red is actually from like another dimension, and I feel like we're going to get more backstory on Rogue Sun since we are getting a series about him. But you do get a lot of his kind of attitude and everything in this. So in this, there is a kind of a monster that shows up. I think they call it like a technology vampire, which is interesting. It kind of looks like a zombie type thing. But something kind of thrusts our three main characters into the same spot, and they are having to confront this creature. Now, all their powers and suits are based off of technology, so immediately they're kind of outmatched by this creature that can suck up the power and everything. But this is really a kind of a story of like, okay, what are we going to do to stop this? We're without our powers for a while, so we've got to team up as like regular people and stop it. It's really cool. It's a really good, quick paced hero versus villain story. That if you've been reading Radiant Black, you'll definitely want to read this one. It definitely feels like it doesn't have a lot of the like side characters for Radiant Black, but you get a lot of fun stuff with our main character in this. Um, Now you'll have to see when it ends. I feel like there's a little bit of you're reading like this is really cool, but why? Like what's the feels like with comics? There's always a something. It's setting up something else, and there's the best way to describe it is after the credits scene in this that introduces another new character that is teased to I think have probably a mini series or even an ongoing later this year. So there's a lot of first appearances in this. It's great reading kind of the letters section or the afterword of it. Them like really talking up the Radiant verse and all these characters. It feels like they have a really good mapped out plan for a lot of these. So I am very happy with this. It's exactly what I wanted. It's a classic big adventure one shot story that I definitely think people will really like. It says, if you haven't been reading Radiant Black, well, then this is a great point to jump on to go off and read Rogue Sun. Or, this is a continuation and a jumping on point in a way. So, really cool. Very happy with this one. It's $5.99, but it's even, I think it's called Perfect Bound, where it actually has a little bit of a spine and everything. Really cool. We've got some variants for it as well. We have a Greg Capullo cover, which is really nice. It's funny to see Greg Capullo draw kind of bright things. We're so used to seeing him draw Spawn and yeah, Batman and stuff. It's bright daytime. And then we have this one's cool. This is a variant drawn by all the different artists that are working on the different characters. So this is Costa, Abel, DeUrso, and Monty variant. You see all their signatures down there. They're all kind of the creators of these characters. Oh, and that's it.
Very ambitious book that they have been doing and not letting up on, of building up that Radiant verse. Mm-hmm. Like, so cool.
Yes.
All right, so I read House of Slaughter #5. So I'm going to start this by saying that I'd be lying if I didn't say when I started reading House of Slaughter, I was missing Erica a little bit. You
Yeah.
know, she's the character we read, and, it's like, okay, we're going to get away from her, more on Aaron, and here's Jace. But what I will say is this is my favorite issue of this yet, and it ends the
Wow.
first arc. And by the end of this, I didn't miss Erica one little bit. Like if you make it through the first 5 of these, you will see that they have built Aaron and Jace into 2 characters you can really care about, you can really root for, especially this issue. And I can't spoil it, but I'll try to tell you why a little bit without spoiling it. So this is what it's all led to. You have it where Aaron and Jace, of course, they are more than friends. They are in love with each other from the past. We got that in the past, but they something has happened. Jace has done something where he's been not just kicked out of the House of Slaughter, but they are hunting him down. They send Aaron to do it, and he is happily doing it. Well, I wouldn't say happily doing it. Let me take that back. He's doing it like in earnest. That's what I would
Following
say.
orders.
Yes, he's doing it in earnest. And in this, you finally get to see what Jace did to get thrown out of the order. We already kind of know why he blames the House of Slaughter for the death of his house, in particular, the Old Dragon, the head of the House of Slaughter. Well, in this one, he comes face to face with them. We're talking about the dude with the metal jaw. You get to see what's beneath that metal jaw, and he unleashes holy hell on him.
Mm.
Not just him, but the entire house. And I'm telling you, some people die. So this is set in the past. This is what he did that got them so mad. When you see it, it's like, oh my lord, wow, I can't believe all that went down. But then you go back to the present, and Aaron finally finds out what Jace has been doing all this time. He hasn't just been on the run, he has a third option for what to do about these monsters killing families and leaving all these orphans that no one else is doing. He has set up something different.
Mm.
He has a different option that he shows Aaron that he's been doing with his time that I didn't see coming. And so Aaron finally has to make a choice. Is he going to go through with his duty, or is he going to also leave the House of Slaughter? The answer is very satisfying, but it's a little complicated. And even though it has a satisfying ending, there is more to come that I can't wait for. We're talking like, oh man, how can I describe it? It's there's even more going on by the end of it, but not in a way where it's like, oh, they didn't answer questions. They answer all the questions. It's just things get complicated in a very interesting way. So best issue I've read of it yet. I think this has really picked up steam. I can see how it's all come together. I've always thought the storytelling of it was done really well with the back and forth between the timelines and the transitions. But now I see what it was all for. So that's my little review of House of Slaughter 5. Excellent issue. Here is the Deladera variant cover to that.
So I forget, is this like a mini series that?
No, this is ongoing.
Okay, so this will be ongoing the same time that Something is Killing the Children comes back, or is this one going to go on break for a little bit?
I don't know. So Something's Killing the Children is coming back. Erica Slaughter's coming back. I think this is continuing at the same time, but to tell you the truth, I haven't heard otherwise.
Yeah. I mean, that's another, just like Radiant Black, it's a universe they're really building up.
Yeah, I forgot to show you. So here is the Sheehan Virgin variant we're selling for $15. And you see, you gotta have the teeth there.
Okay, my next one is we're checking in with our old pal Wolverine. This time with X Deaths of Wolverine #3. Now, this one's really cool because we actually do get a lot of answers in it. So, X Deaths is I feel like I always need to remind myself and everyone else the difference between X Deaths and X Lives of Wolverine. X Deaths is actually so far been following Myra McTaggart after the events of X-Men Inferno and her being on the run from Mystique and Destiny. all the crazy stuff that's going on there. Her, changing her hair color, going undercover. Um, but she's being hunted, and there's a new Wolverine that has kind of appeared and is also hunting her. Now, this is really cool because it basically explains the whole situation with this other Wolverine.
That's good. Yeah.
I thought it would be like, this whole thing we'd be like, why is there another Wolverine?
Until like the last page of the last issue.
Yeah. No, this actually gives us a very good uh, overview of the backstory of this Wolverine, um, and what his mission is, and it's pretty surprising. So Myra is now she's lived so many lives and she has the memories from all of her different lives. She has realized too, hey, I think I've seen this before, and she is going to help create something that is going to essentially, I guess, eradicate mutants, which has kind of been her secret goal since way back in Sword of X and Powers of 10 years ago.
House of X.
Yeah, House of X. So that is actually comes into play quite a bit, even referencing stuff from issue number 1, I believe, of House of X.
Mm.
Like,
that was the first one where her and Professor X had to sit down on the bench.
Yes.
And
so something that appeared in that reappears in this issue. That is like, oh my gosh, I'm so glad I read that so long ago. But I had to refresh myself and be like, okay, where did this actually show up? But it makes for a very compelling story with this other Wolverine, and ties it really well into the overall narrative that's been going on with the X-Men in a way that it really hasn't done yet. This has kind of been an aside story from the Krakoa stuff and all of that. This definitely draws heavily on the early Hickman run of X-Men. So, really great issue. Also, you see on the cover, you have Professor X sends Laura, who is now Wolverine, but X-23, her partner Scout, and Daken to go hunt this new Wolverine. And very interesting fight, and some conversation in there as well. We've got some great variants for this. So first off, we have the Bagley trading card variant, back when James Howlett was in the war. Now this one, these are always so funny. I was telling Jason about this earlier too. So they've been doing these spoiler variants. And so far, I think other than the very first one, they've all depicted something that has not happened yet, or a look for a character that has not happened yet. So I don't really feel like it's a spoiler to show it because I don't even know what this is, and I read the issue. So this is the Inyuk Lee variant.
So either things to come, or they had the covers made before the writing was done. One or the other.
I mean, very cool cover, but I don't know anything about this version of Wolverine. Then we have the Ward variant. That is the Wolverine we've been seeing a lot of. This kind of techie looking Wolverine. And finally, we have the anime style variant. This is a 1 in 25 by Nakayama that we are selling to our customers for $20. Very nice, clean cover.
All right, so I read Silk issue number 2 of Cindy Moon's ongoing new series. So there is an ancient Korean witch who has somehow come back to life. One of those, things in the museum comes back and starts doing evil plot lines. That started in last issue, and this Korean witch has some sort of power to turn young people old. You get the sense it's probably not just a curse on them, that they're probably getting something from them, because the Korean witch is particularly choosing major social media stars. So, I haven't quite worked out in my mind why that is. I'm sure, it's going to be revealed, because there is a pattern to that. So meanwhile, in this issue, Luna Snow, who is a pop star, and Silk's friend is performing a concert in Silk's town. So Silk decides to go. Well, of course, the villain is after big social media influencers, and Luna Snow is a perfect target.
Yeah.
So obviously, things go down at the concert. You'll have to read to see what happens. However, what happens if the witch also sees Silk and says, "Hey, that looks like a tasty snack as well. Maybe I'll aid you." So that's a little bit of some of the things that go down in Silk issue number 2. And we are sold out of our variant for that. So unfortunately, I don't have that to display.
Okay, my next one is I feel like I've got a few issues this week that are explaining stuff, or there's news articles and everything, but I'm gonna set the record straight on some stuff. Starting with Teen Titans Academy number 12. So we are getting close to the end of Teen Titans Academy. Only one or two more issues, I believe, for this series. But the big mystery that's been going on this whole time is the secret of Red X. And yes, you do find out the secret identity of Red X in this. Now, of course, I'm not going to tell you who it is, because that would be for a more spoilery show. But there is, I'll say, more to this than that one reveal. You know, it seems like they've set up that part of the story so much that it's kind of the major crux of this Teen Titans Academy. Now, I remember an interview early on with the writer, and when they asked him, like, are you actually going to reveal who Red X is, all of that, it's been such a talked about thing, and he said yes, but I feel like he said the bigger question is going to be why, rather than who it is, why they're doing what they're doing. So that is the other big thing in this is why the person who took on the Red X persona is doing what they're doing, and this sets up another mystery that I'm really wondering where it's going to play out, because there is more people to this story than just Red X and the Titans. It seems like there may be some higher ups as well, without giving away too much, and that the legacy of Red X is not gone. I think that's a big thing. Red X is such a cool character that even when you reveal who Red X is, the mystery of Red X is not over.
Yeah, the Red X. So there's a lot of spoilers all through the news that Red X gets revealed in this issue. So Andy and he told me what happened in it, and I saw the same pages. I would say Red X in a way is revealed, but more than that, Red X mystery is expanded.
Yeah.
That's the best we can say. It isn't over. To just say Red X gets revealed in this issue, that's not the whole truth. That's maybe not even half the truth.
No, I would say there's probably 3 or 4 big things that are talked about or discussed or revealed in this. That's maybe 1/4 of the stuff.
Yeah, there's a lot of articles and spoilers that are incorrect about this right now. I wouldn't really say this reveals Red X personally. It kind of reveals something, but
more of the idea of Red X and stuff. So I still think a lot of people definitely want to grab this issue for various reasons. I feel like that'll also
big part of the mystery.
A big part of the mystery is revealed, and a big part of the mystery is continued. Maybe if I don't know if there's a first appearance in it or not. We'll have to find out about that. To be determined for that. But I'm sad the series is ending, but I definitely have the feeling, especially the stuff with that they're alluding to with like Titan's Tower and everything that got destroyed, that there's gonna be a new Teen Titan series coming up. I'm almost sure of it. So we also have a super cool variant cover with our main man. This is the Todd Knock variant.
Okay, so I read Silver Surfer Rebirth #2. So this is your cure if you've got an ailment to read sort of a classic style comic. I know classic for comic goes back a long way at this point.
Yeah.
It's hard for me to think of eras I read comics as classic, but we all get older. So this reads to me sort of like an 80s, 90s comic. Of course, this is by Ron Mars and Ron Lim, who did many things in those days, and I think that is the spirit they're going for, which makes it such a fun read, such an effortless read. So last issue, Silver Surfer was just sort of like flying around, and he comes upon Captain Marvel, and I mean like the original
Hmm.
Marvel, and he's like, "What are you doing still alive?" Some other things happen, but Thanos shows up at the end and seemingly kills Marvel. That's what Silver Surfer sees, but he doesn't look like he does it out of malice.
Mm.
Okay, it's not like he's angry or anything. So this issue, in fact, at the end of the last one, Thanos is like, "I need your help." This issue, that gets resolved somewhat. Of course, first there's a fight. There's a fight and a conversation. There's a conversation without a fight. But I think the coolest part to it is you get to see what discussion and battle and what series of events could possibly lead to Silver Surfer at least momentarily agreeing to group up with Thanos.
Mm.
They team up because something bigger is going on. And it isn't quickly done. I really enjoyed that part of them. Those two, they're not likely to really team up over much of anything. Also, Silver Surfer has his surfboard, and if they have to go somewhere out in space, what does Thanos have?
Rollerblades.
Not even close.
Oh man.
It is something we've seen, but we haven't seen it often. He does have a mode of transportation that's just perfect for somebody with the ego of Thanos. So that's really cool too. Anyway, you'll get to see what it is that is so messing with time and space and reality. Why are people seemingly there and things happening? Um, and there is a villain who's been in the shadows. They remain in the shadows in this issue, but their right hand man comes out of the shadows. It is a character that we do know. We don't see him in many things. He's a fairly powerful character, though. But more than that, they're not trying to write this to have first appearances
Yeah.
and such. This is definitely written to be just a cool cosmic story that they wanted to tell back when they were doing Silver Surfer. It's a good read. If you like Surfer, you like Thanos, you like the Infinity stuff,
Mhm.
you're gonna want to pick it up. Just as good as issue one. I think even better, really, because now some of the mystery is getting.
Mhm.
Issue one was cool, but it was like, man, what's going on here?
Yeah.
So that is Silver Surfer Rebirth, issue #2. I believe this is a 5-issue miniseries, if I'm not mistaken. So here is the variant. This is the Charles variant. And then we have the Reese X Gwen variant.
Okay, next up. They promised that there would be more coming, that we wouldn't have to wait.
Yeah, I feel like they got that out. Has it been a
Yeah.
month?
I guess so. So this is Saga issue 56, our next issue of Saga. The drought is over. The many years of waiting. We now have 2 issues back, and I said it with the last one. It's still true with this one. They didn't miss a beat. This is as Saga gets. With just, you never know what's going to happen in this series. So it's hard to talk about the story at this point, other than, there's been a kind of a time jump. We have our main characters, but they're older now. Alana, the mother, and Hazel, her daughter. All of that still there. We are introduced to some new characters, some pirates that are just as unique and creatively bizarre as any of the other creations in Saga. Um, the other kind of storyline that's going on is at the end of Saga. I can spoil what happened in Saga from like almost 4 years ago. Um, that the Prince Robot died, and they have recovered his TV robot head, and now his parents, the king and kind of queen robot, which the king is really cool because his head is a widescreen TV and it's just super big. They are going to try and find out who murdered the prince. So that's kind of setting up some of the antagonists that are going to be coming up. But once again, super mature in content and storytelling. I think that's an important thing. You can have mature content, but juvenile storytelling. Now, this is very well crafted story, very interesting. Fiona Staples' art is as amazing as ever. Still proves why this is one of the most award winning best selling series of all time, and it continues to be great with this issue of Saga. And like always, one cover and still only $2.99.
And that cover, it just has the exact same spirit the series has always had. When
Yeah.
you see a Saga cover, you're like, that's a Saga cover, even without having to see the logo.
Mm-hmm.
It just has that look to it.
Yep.
Okay, so next one that I read is Robin issue number 11. So look at that. It's the whole team on there. So, Robin started out a tournament book, but by this issue, it's kind of a team book with a lot of the people he met through the tournament. So it has been. So this issue starts with all the Al Ghuls are together. It's not a family picnic though. In fact, it's a family fight. You got Ra's al Ghul, you got Talia al Ghul, you got Damien, and then you have the grandmother who was Mother Soul, the person who pulled the tournament together.
Grandma Ghoul.
Yeah, Grandma Ghoul. And of course, Grandma's been doing some bad things. So at the end of last issue, Ra's al Ghul had shown up with Talia to try to stop her. And that's sort of where we begin. But Master Dusk has escaped. Now, Master Dusk is, of course, one of the trainers for the League of Assassins. He helped train Damien. He also helped train Connor Hawke, which is how Connor won the tournament.
Yeah.
Well, he's run off, and they've got to stop him. Simple enough setup, which is great because I didn't want Robin to go off by himself. I want to see more of them grouping up with the tournament people. So Robin and Rose and Flatline and Connor Hawke and Respawn go off to stop him. So while they're doing that, Respawn finally gets called out a little bit by Rose about, hey, who are you? Why are you trying to be like look like Deathstroke and all? He takes off his hood. And this isn't a spoiler because I like parts where I'm not sure because I can ask the audience, and when you read it, you can think what you think. You get to see a from behind shot of Respawn. I'm not quite sure. I have ideas on who Respawn might be, but I think that's going somewhere. And I mean outside the Robin story, which I think Andy may have some things to talk about later.
I may pick up that baton later.
So they kind of leave to do their own thing. So instead, we got to see Connor Hawke, Robin, and Flatline go up against Master Dusk, which is very cool. By the end of the story, there is also more romance between Robin and Flatline. Some fairly serious romance stuff. But the best part of it is this. The end of this issue, Robin makes a decision to do something to correct an injustice that, if he does, is going to affect the entire Bat family. Yeah. I mean, this is a big deal.
Yeah. It seems like a big deal to come out of the Robin book.
Yeah, I mentioned to Andy, I'm like, oh my goodness, look what Robin is going to maybe do. And if you read this till the end of the issue, you'll see what it is. Yeah. He's possibly going to correct.
Whether he does it or not, it's a big deal.
And I will say personally, I really hope he does. When I saw what he's like, hey, I might do this thing. I can't tell you what, he is on Lazarus Island.
Yeah.
But I was like, yes, please do it, Robin. Yeah. Please. So we'll just have to see. It seems like the book might be going solo, though. It seems like Robin, the team up might be about over. But hopefully we're at least going to see more Flatline. I really hope. So that is a new issue of Robin. We sold out of the variant for that, so I don't have the variant to show on that one.
Okay, my next one is another one that is a kind of a public service announcement type thing, because I read Ben Reilly Spider-Man #2, Really enjoyed the issue. Definitely, almost like you're saying with your Silver Surfer. This is other than the art is pretty modern. Definitely feels like you're reading something, and people don't hate it, but from the Clone Saga era.
Right.
Kind of a revisiting of those characters and those ideas and everything, which is really fun. Some return of those supporting characters too, which is nice to see. But enjoyed the issue, pretty straightforward issue. But then um, I saw things saying, "Oh, this also has an appearance by Spider Carnage," which I mean that's a big deal. That character does not show up too often. The Spider Carnage character that was from back then, but I'll have to tell you, does not appear in this issue. I looked in the background, everything, and what I can only figure is there was a variant cover that was shown back when the book was solicited that did have Ben Reilly fighting kind of the his version of the Sinister Six, which did have Spider Carnage on it. Uh, there's a lot. There's another, as you can see on this, he does fight Scorpion, and there's another really cool character that does show up, but is not Spider Carnage. We don't even have the variant that was originally shown. I'm not sure if they didn't use it or did that end up being a pretty high ratio variant. I'm not positive, but still pick it up. Still a great issue, but don't pick it up because some spec sites and stuff are saying it's an appearance of Spider Carnage because it is not.
Yep.
So really fun issue though. I like some of these classic feeling spider stories. We have
I'd say every week there's somewhere between 2 and 4 books that other sites are saying this is going to be in it, but they haven't read it.
yeah.
And then we read it and we're like, no, it's not this. Or
Yeah.
we found something that they didn't find.
We also have the Jurgens variant. Pretty cool.
All right, so I read Step by Bloody Step. This is a new 4-part book by Cy Spurrier. It's got really, really awesome interior art by Matthias Bergara, does the interiors. It's sort of like a dark fairy tale. The first thing to say about this, though, is there is no dialogue. There is a few word balloons, but the people in this world are speaking a language that even us, the reader, don't understand. So it's symbols and such. This is told panel by panel, silent. And what the story is, there is a young, small girl who's being protected by this giant suit of armor. I don't know, what exactly is in the suit of armor. It's this just colossus thing. Like she starts out, she's like not a baby, but like a very, very, very young girl. Like, and the suit of armor has her in its hand and is walking through this fantasy world full of monsters and creatures. It's protecting her, not just from the creatures, but from the elements. Like, it finds her clothing and puts clothes on her. She gets older as this story goes on. They come across villages, and it seems like they have to keep moving. It seems like if they stop moving, like, powers, like the world kind of attacks them. Um, this comic is what I would call a challenging read because without any dialogue and without any narration, you have to carefully look at this and try to formulate what is going on in this world. And I have to say, by the end of it, I've told you what I've got from it, but I'm still not sure. I don't know what the giant colossus is. I don't know why it's protecting the girl, how they met, or why it's doing it exactly. Something is building here. This seems very intentional. This is by Cy Spurrier, who he's that sort of writer.
Yeah.
He'll set up something very big and make you have to work for it. Typically, the payoff with this stuff is good, but I just want to let you know that is what to expect from Step by Bloody Step. Once again, very good dark fairy tale art by Matthias Bergara, and you just have to know what you're getting into. It's not a fast one either. Sometimes when you have a comic that has no dialogue, you're just like flying through. This has lots of panels, lots of art. There's plenty of little things that happen. So it's not one you'll just flip through in 2 minutes, really. So we got a lot of cool variants for this.
I love this one. This one
Let's
just
see. Or actually, I only got two open order. This is the Bertram variant. See a little bit more of what the Colossus suit of armor looks like. There is a blank variant. Then we have two incentive variants. Here's a 1 in 10 BRZRKR variant that we're asking $15 for from our customers. And then the 1 in 25 Heron variant for $20.
So you don't see inside the armor.
You kind of do later in, but I don't think it brings up more questions.
Okay. I feel like I read a preview of that, and I remember getting to the end and being like, huh. It does make you want to read the next one to be like, I wonder how they're going to flesh out the story if they continue to do no dialogue and stuff.
I don't know, but I think if you fly through this, you're going to go, what?
Yeah.
But, you know, I sat there and I looked it over. I'm like, okay, I got some stuff from this.
Yeah.
But it is still a mystery. A pretty big, like, even by the end of the first issue.
Okay, so my next one is Deathstroke Inc. number 6. So I've really enjoyed the series. This is probably one of my favorite DC books out right now. One thing, I like Deathstroke. I like Black Canary. They are the main characters in this. I almost said protagonists, but I don't know if Deathstroke can ever truly be a protagonist. He is the thing, one of the things driving the story forward, but he's definitely not like the good guy. So what's interesting about this is written by Joshua Williamson, who also was writing Robin, and the idea that Respawn looks like Deathstroke does carry over into this issue, which I think is super cool. When a writer's writing multiple books, they can, without much effort, hand storylines off to other things. And I think, if Respawn doesn't show back up in Robin, I think that's fine because his story is taking him somewhere else.
Yeah.
And you can actually follow that.
I think that's probably what's happening.
So in this, of course, there's been this secret society that that Deathstroke and Black Canary are investigating, each with their own reasons for doing it, but learning some pretty crazy stuff is actually going on there. That even deals with some multiversal implications. We do know that Joshua Williamson is going to be writing the next big DC event, the Dark Crisis. But before that, we are leading into Shadow War, which is the crossover between Batman, Robin, and Deathstroke, I think.
I think that sounds right.
And this definitely feels like it is getting you ready for that, as Deathstroke kind of takes matters into his own hands and tries to build his own. It's one of those, I'm a criminal, here's a evil criminal organization, but I think it would be better if I was running it. So really cool issue. I'm very interested to see how this is going to go into Shadow War and kind of how these different pieces all where they stand in the big fight coming up. But really cool issue. The Justice League do make an appearance in it. Even Green Arrow did not know Black Canary was on this mission, and he's not too happy about it until he's reminded, hey, you were also secretly funding the Justice League and Checkmate at the same time. You don't have any room to talk, which I thought was really funny. So this was a great issue of Deathstroke. Unfortunately, he does not look like that in the book. He doesn't look like King Conan yet, but definitely he gives off those vibes.
He feels like that on the inside.
He definitely does. He definitely has that swagger. We also have the Tau variant as well.
All right, so I read Iron Man number 17. So the first thing I'm going to tell you is this is not the regular cover. This is the Black History Month Sway variant. We're out of the regular cover. But that's okay because I really wanted to show this one off. This one, they didn't have the cover ready when we had to place our orders. And because of that, retailers didn't get as many. And I have read that this is selling for over cover price online. So if you really like this one, You may want to run in or contact your local store and see if they can't grab you a copy before they're all gone. So this issue is cool. So Iron Man lately, to fight Korvac, he has gotten all this cosmic power that's made him near godlike. Well, last issue, he used his powers to make everyone in New York City as smart as he is. So they're all Tony Stark level intelligent because he thought that would make the world a better place.
Which was a real dumb thing to do.
Well, you get to see the full ramifications. Like the first, like maybe 4 pages is all on. Here's what happens across the city, and it is hilarious, thrilling, and horrifying all at once. Really good writing on that. I love that they took the time to really show the way this would play out, not just in one place and not just with one group of people. You get to see what sort of criminals do with it. You get to see what regular people do with it, what hospital people do with it. It's cool. It's really neat. So meanwhile, that's just a little bit of the story. Hellcat has decided as of last issue that Tony has to be stopped. He is going too far. He's losing himself with this power. So she goes to the one person that she thinks can help her, that she doesn't want to go to, and it's Doctor Doom. So in this issue, Doctor Doom brings together a team of other heroes, many of which have Tony Stark level minds now because they were in New York, and they have a secret meeting on how they're going to defeat Tony. Well, what happens when Tony shows up at the meeting? Okay, he doesn't know what they're doing. Like, this is kind of just coincidence. He shows up there to go hang out with Hellcat. They're all there, and he discovers what they're up to. I'll tell you what happens. A big battle, and Tony does some stuff that is shocking. I am not kidding. Read the issue. You will go, your jaw will drop. The most I'll say is, it's a good thing Tony has godlike powers. I hope we're about to see how powerful he is, because what he does and some of the killings that occur, he is going to have a lot to answer for.
Wow.
So pretty big ending to that issue with some huge ramifications. Excellent issue of Iron Man number 17. And here is the X-Gwen variant of it.
Cool. Well, my next one is definitely one that I don't have to go into too much detail about, but wanted to let you know that this is our final issue of Star Wars High Republic Adventures from IDW. This is issue number 13. As you can see there, it's got a very final issue cover. Everyone's together, raising their lightsabers. It's a fun issue. Wraps up a lot of the characters. We don't know. We could see these characters pop up later in other books, but I believe this is the final Star Wars book for IDW, since Adventures has already ended. All their miniseries has ended. So this is the final one. Definitely want to check that out to complete your collection.
See, I was wondering if they wouldn't sneak something in, like our final issue. Well,
yeah, I was waiting to see, like, maybe they said, hey, since we're losing this, can we have at least one last little umph? But you'll have to read it to find out. There's some cool stuff in there.
It's a great cover.
It is really great cover. A moment like that does happen.
It feels very celebratory,
Yep. And then we have this variant as well. This is the 1 in 10 Cook variant that we are selling to our customers for $20.
All right, so I read Miles Morales, issue number 35. Now, this is the issue I have been waiting for, and I think anyone who's been reading Miles since the beginning of this series has been waiting for, because he finally gets to go up against the Assessor. And I mean, real deal. Typically, they kind of are around each other, and the Assessor beats Miles and runs away, or just runs away. Of course, way previously, the Assessor captured Miles, tortured him, viciously, and took his DNA, and that's where Shift came from. So last issue, they had to fight through the Assessor's base, which was just maddening and insane, and it seemed like the whole thing was just another test that he was going through. This one, they really, really do. By the end of it, you get to find out what the Assessor is, why it's doing what it's doing, and also what exactly are its ties to a certain corporation that is kind of currently important to all the Spider-Mans right now. So a lot of questions answered. This is a pretty important issue, but it's also very satisfying. I mean, with what Miles had been through and what Shift's been through, it's a very satisfying issue. Then at the end, there is a surprise that a certain Spider-Man character who was thought to be likely dead is not, and now Miles has a new mission to find this character that he cares about. So very cool issue of Miles Morales number 35, and here is the X-Gwen variant, and we also have the 1 in 25 Garen variant that we are selling for $20.
Jumping on the spider train, I've got Amazing Spider-Man number 90. Surprising for a number 90, they're not making it a giant thing, but I think they know in a couple issues they're going to have a new number one everything, so they'll make some giant size issue then. This is a really cool issue. This is definitely, you can tell that they're cinching up some of the story. They're bringing characters together, and we have Peter and Ben now coming face to face for the first time in a while. And we have something really cool, which is Ben gets something very important from Queen Goblin. Actually manages to swipe something that I feel like is going to play a part possibly in her defeat. There is a really funny moment that I hadn't considered, but Ben brings up that the X-Men have someone called the Goblin Queen that he thinks is much deadlier than her, but he gets it because Queen Goblin and Green Goblin rhyme, so that's why she went with the name. It's just a funny, like, quippy thing, but bringing up that they're well aware that there's characters with very similar names. But we are getting very close to the end of the Beyond storyline, and I'm very excited to see where it goes from there. We've got some variants. We have the Antonio variant. And we have, this one is super cool. This is the 1 in 25 Glapian variant that we are selling for $30 to our customers. You can see it's like Peter put on his spider suit over a like full body cast. Bandages and stuff.
Spider Mummy.
Yeah, it really does look like Spider Mummy. So, really cool.
All right, so I read Berserker number 7. So as violent and bloody as Berserker started, there is still some violence and some blood in this. They have gotten more to the story side of it, which is good. I think that it is improved with a little more story coming out. So we're over halfway through Berserker, and because it is a maxi series.
Yeah.
It does have an ending in sight. So last issue, our main character, who calls himself B, I don't think he likes to just go by Berserker, but B, he went on a mission to get this gold box, this ancient gold box for this sort of historical scientist named Caldwell. So in this issue, he brings him the box and he says, "Why'd you have me do this? What's going on?" There's something really interesting in the box that very much relates to B. You'll just have to read to see what it is. But Caldwell tells B, and this is what I like. This is how I tell Matt Kint has his hand in the writing of this.
Mm-hmm.
Or I don't know, maybe this is the Keanu idea. But Caldwell is like, "Look, B, I know that you could kill entire armies with your bare hands. But I have a theory that your power isn't just about killing. In fact, that is just a side thing, that you have a bigger purpose than that. I can't tell you," like, he doesn't even say what the whole theory is. I think I kind of know, so I'll dance around a little, but I can't, it's not really a spoiler because they don't say it, but, consider this. B, sure, he can't be killed. Well, that also allows him to live all through history. He has seen all these cultures. He knows all these languages. There might be another purpose for him that Caldwell's hitting upon. And I like that. The book is getting smarter.
Yeah.
When I read that, I'm like, okay, that's cool. He isn't just this killing machine. It's not just about, I'm tired of killing. I wish I could be mortal. He may have a bigger purpose here they might be getting at. Also in this issue, Caldwell tells them about what Protocol X is. So they've been hinting about this Protocol X for the last few issues. And you know, in comics and books and movies, when a government agency has something called Protocol this, it's a secret from the person they're going to do it on.
Yeah.
I have to applaud Kent and Keanu Reeves for this. It isn't a secret. He literally says, "Hey B, we have this Protocol X. Let me tell you what it is and why we think it'd be good for you." And he does, and it's not a lie. And then you learn, once you learn what it is exactly, that the issue began with him already in it, and it ends with him in it, and it's sort of a countdown. Something big's about to happen. So really good issue of Berserker. I just think it's improved now that the writing's getting a chance to really
Yeah.
sing. So we have the foil variant of the main cover. So same, but it's just a foil variant. Then we have the Daniel Warren Johnson cover and a foil version of that as well.
Cool. One that I actually added to my list this week. After reading it, I really enjoyed the last issue, which started the new creative team. And then I read this one and thoroughly enjoyed it. Almost one of my picks of the week. This is Catwoman number 40. This is with our new creative team with Teenie Howard writing it. And I really like this. This is, I feel like, the perfect look and feel for a Catwoman series. This deals with someone very close to Catwoman has been murdered, and she knows it was done to get her attention, which she thinks is a horrible thing to do. This is clearly done by people who don't care about lives. She gets embroiled in kind of a mafia family uh, uh, changing of arms or changing of leadership that she actually tries to do the right thing in. But what really, I think, shines in this series is the art. The artist is, I looked it up before, last name is Leon, and Jordi Belair does the colors. And just from an artist perspective, what I think is really interesting about this is it does use heavy blacks and silhouettes. Now, but what combats that is a lot of times if someone uses a lot of blacks and silhouettes, it's, I don't want to say it's a lack of artistic skill, but it is a quicker way to do art. It's, you know, it's easier than drawing all the details, use black everything in. What this does is has a really cool contrast to, oh, there's a full figure staying in the shadows with a silhouette, but then we get a full like action shot of them like jumping out or doing something that kind of proves, oh, we are actually doing this silhouette and everything for the mood and not the speed of it. So it balances some really nice shots, especially environments. There's some very like ritzy apartments and everything that are fully furnished and really nice to look at. That mixed with some heavy kind of noir looks to it that I think is really cool. A very interesting look for Catwoman that I think just works really well with her and her silhouette and that kind of world that she lives in of cat burglary. So really enjoying this. I think everyone should give this a shot. This new run on Catwoman started last issue. And we have a variant for that, which is, of course, a Jenny Frison variant.
All right, so I read Harley Quinn issue number 12. So, alert, alert, there is a first appearance of a new villain named Verdict. And this villain is interesting. So, it is a she, and I think her symbol looks a little bit like a Punisher skull. Just a little. It's a skull on the chest, you know, so it's hard to get away from that. And to me, there's not a lot with her in this. Okay, I think this is going to be considered a first cameo. You know, it's like you get to see her full, and she says one thing in her name.
Yeah.
But it seems you do see her you do get her talking from the shadows in other parts, and it seems like she sees herself as maybe killing for good. which would make her a vigilante, maybe a little like the Punisher. So I don't know if somebody at DC is having a joke over there, because of course Marvel is changing the Punisher's logo, which we'll talk about later
Yep.
because we have that coming up. I don't know, but anyway, first appearance of this new character, Verdict, who seems to be a new major villain for Harley Quinn, and she does kill at least one person in this for sure. So that means that she's really serious. You know, a
Yeah.
lot of villains, they won't come out swinging like that, especially in a book as sort of whimsical as Harley Quinn can be. So past that, last issue left Harley Quinn in the classic hero situation. You've seen it all the way back from black and white movies, where there is a bomb hooked to a train and your friend is tied to the tracks. You know, usually you get one or the other. Harley has to deal with both. So she's dealing with that. It was all done by Keepsake, the newer villain that was introduced in our series earlier in the series. And I meant to mention. So look at the cover. It says "Unite the League." So she has her own version of the Justice League with her friends, who are all, not all, most of them are ex Joker minions. Harley's whole point of the series is she wanted to prove that just because you used to work for the Joker doesn't mean you can't be reformed. She reformed herself, and then there's her friend Kevin there, a Superman. Can you guys tell who's Flash? It's a character that's appeared in Harley lately. Anyhow, so to be able to defeat Keepsake, she's going to have to, and sort of what he does to the city, because there is a fallout from this train and bomb and everything. She gets help from some of these ex-Joker minions. Now, what's on the cover doesn't exactly happen. In spirit, it does. They don't really put the outfits on. It's just a real good cover. So that's generally what's going down in Harley Quinn number 12. But the other news, the new villain Verdict is now part of things. And here we have a wonderful Derek Chu variant, done horizontal style.
When someone's that good, you say, oh, whatever way you want to turn the book's fine.
Yeah.
Just do what you do. Okay, my next one is book I've thoroughly been enjoying. This is Gunslinger Spawn number 5. One of my favorites of the new Spawn titles. And in this one, we kind of left off on a cliffhanger last time. There's all these new versions of Violator or the Clown or whatever you want to call him. There's a big kind of a bruiser version of him. He actually has his other form that is the Violator, the kind of demon-looking thing that he could turn into, and a bunch of little clowns all around him. Where usually, you only got one version of him in the Spawn universe. This issue actually explores who this version of the clown is, why he has all these minions, why he has a version of the Violator that's not him. It's not him transformed or anything. Really cool issue with a lot of really nice backstory, and the clown has an offer for Gunslinger Spawn that you'd be surprised at what Gunslinger Spawn's answer is to him. That may put Gunslinger Spawn and Al Simmons Spawn on opposing sides. So, really fun issue of that. Still had
that's probably the most interesting way the story can go.
Yeah.
Honestly, like Gunslinger versus Al Simmons, that'd be crazy cool.
And they both have kind of their points in it. So, really great. A cover for that. And then we have the Glapion variant done by Jonathan Glapion, who is actually he was the inker on like Court of Owls and everything. Getting to do his own variant cover, so really cool.
So I read Black Widow number 14. I feel like this one definitely got delayed because I read 13 a while back. So issue 13 was a flashback issue to where Natasha first had a run-in with a villain called the Living Blade, and how the Living Blade just kind of beat her down badly. I mean, she just had to run away, and he was still catching her. She barely escaped with her life from this person. He just is a better fighter than she is, it seems like, and she has kind of a fear of him, which we're used to seeing Natasha. She is fearless. Well, he's back, and in this issue, she has to overcome her fear and try to fight him. Meanwhile, a lot of her friends have been captured. You know, Anya's captured, Lucy's captured. They just got Hawkeye last issue, so they're all in danger. Um, and then the third part of the team, White Widow and Winter Soldier, have been told by Natasha, "You guys need to run. You need to do the mission. I got to try to survive Living Blade. You do the mission. Run." Well, are they going to run or and do the mission, or are they going to stay behind to help their friends, even though they've been told to leave? So you have to see what their decision is there. This issue does not resolve the fight with Natasha and Living Blade. They have some of it, but you could tell, it's one of those, it ends now. The real showdown
Yeah.
is going to be next issue. So still an eventful issue of Black Widow. And we have this Bustos variant. She tries to relax with rose petals and wine, but somebody has to attack her, so the underwater guns have to come out.
The underwater guns.
The underwater guns.
She takes a bath. She's like, oh, I gotta get my underwater guns. Yep. I wonder if they float or squeak. Okay, so next up, I have DC versus Vampires. This is number 5 of 12. So we are a good ways into this series now. Really been enjoying this, of course, by James Tynion. And in this one, we are in the middle of the story. So this is when a lot of the major conflicts happen. And we get a really cool fight between, I wouldn't say it escalates to a fight, but a confrontation between Batman and Superman, where Batman, I feel like writers love figuring out new ways of, if Batman's incapacitated, what does he do?
To still win or
to
get
still
away
win or have
come out on top.
Have some kind of trick, or sometimes he breaks his hand if he's in some kind of cuffs and pulls it out or whatever. He's got a great trick in this where he may have kryptonite hidden somewhere that you didn't expect, which is really, really funny. You'll have to see it. But also this just kind of escalates the conflict, and we kind of get a little bit more confirmation on who is the new ruler of the vampires, at least, unless it's kind of a big red herring and it turns out to be someone else. The Suicide Squad are put on task of tracking down this person. So really cool issue of DC versus Vampires. And of course we have our Matina variant. I think this is Two-Face. It's very dark, hard to see, but I believe this is Vampire Two-Face.
All right, so I read Captain Marvel issue number 36. This is the final part of this story arc, which had Captain Marvel going up against Vox Supreme and his army of black-suited Captain Marvels that he has created. And in this, a lot of people get drawn into this battle because, when you're fighting other Captain Marvels, you're going to need a powerful force. So you'll get to read the finale on how that goes. But I think the most important part to it is there was the new binary force that Captain Marvel brought out last issue. So she had concentrated her power in a way where this other entity springs out of her that looks like her when she was binary.
Mm-hmm.
This issue, that force sticks around, finally says its first words. So it didn't have any words in the last issue. In this issue, it has words. And by the end of the issue, it even gives its name. It wants to be just called Binary. So it's not going to be the binary force. Binary is back.
Yeah.
And looks like Binary is here to stay as well. So that's the most I will tell you on that. The Binary is back in full effect in this issue. I don't know if last issue will be considered a cameo and now this a first, or if that last one was just a first.
Or is that a first appearance, I guess?
Because there was no words at all.
But also Binary's been a thing, but not an entity unto itself.
This is definitely different.
That's like if Batman's cowl came off and it's like, I'm a character now, or something. It's an interesting new idea.
Yeah. So here is the BRZRKR variant for that.
Okay, my next one is for you Transformers fans out there. This is Transformers War's End #1. So, just like with Star Wars, IDW is going to be losing the Transformers license here later on in the year. So, they are going to go out with a bang and a big final story with Transformers, which I think is, I mean, the way to do it. Make people miss your Transformers series because you make it so great at the end. And this is a companion mini-series. It's going to be, I believe, 4 issues that is going to run alongside the main Transformers series, where a ancient evil is awoken on the planet, and it's going to have ties to the past, the present, and the future of the Transformers. You can kind of see it on the variant cover, and if you're a fan of Transformers, you'll recognize it. But really cool that they are definitely going out with a lot of style. So here is the A cover. And then we have the 1 in 10 Sue variant that we're selling to our customers for $20.
Yes, big week as we said. So
Yeah.
we're still not done. I read Dark Ages #5. You know, I realize I've just talked about so many comics, and I'm about to talk about this one. This was a really good issue as well. This was an excellent read. So this series has just been really, really cool. And in this issue, there's a lot you can just see from the cover I'll talk about in a minute. But first, I'm going to talk about the villain. So Apocalypse and all the other villains who he has under my control because of the Purple Man. You know, he's got Tony Stark working for him and such. They go to the center of the planet where the Unmaker is trapped, the thing that set this whole thing off. And Apocalypse kind of is revealing, in more than just hints, what his end goal plan is going to be to take over the whole world. So we get to hear that and, you know, be like, oh man, the heroes don't even know what's coming. Meanwhile, the heroes finally resolve themselves. They've been leaving Apocalypse alone over in Europe. They have seen, with them being attacked and some of them getting killed, they have to go and finally stop them. They need to free Europe. They have to stop Apocalypse. So they go on a road trip to do this. And the vehicle that they have, it's Deadpool has a van, or not a van, he has a bus. Deadpool has the Deadpool tour bus. He has not lost any of his sense of humor, so he pretends he's their tour guide as they're going to where they're going in Europe, much to the chagrin of Peter Parker, who is a lot more serious these days. So they come upon a villain, and you kind of see the villain on the cover here, so I can talk about it. It is a symbiote where the Venom symbiote and the Carnage symbiote have come together in those same things. So,
Wow.
yeah, if you think one's dangerous, they have to fight them together. But maybe in the end, they might gain a new ally because who's inside of this? That I will not reveal. So that is Dark Ages #5, and we have this Sway Black History Month variant for that. Oh, and I also have a 1 in 25 Kyle Hotz variant that we're selling to our customers for $20.
Has that never happened before with the Venom and the Carnage symbiote?
Not to my
Mixed
knowledge. I mean,
together?
there's so much of them out there, but
Yeah.
I don't believe, no, I don't think that's ever
Not in
happened.
that way, yeah.
But of course, this is sort of a what if story.
Yeah.
So,
Okay. My next one is Department of Truth. This is issue number 16. Unfortunately, because we had a ton of stuff to read, I did not get to read this one all the way through. Department of Truth definitely takes a lot of focus to read and trying to understand it and everything. But what is interesting about this one is the art is done by Allison Sampson. So it's a definitely a different look for it, and it is trippy. You can see a little bit.
I know, I
on
like
the
that cover.
The interiors like go all out. It is a very psychedelic issue. I think a lot of people are really gonna like. Very unique, very interesting. And we have the variant cover by Simpson as well.
The Lady in Red.
Yes.
Okay, so second print alert. Thor Number 20, second print is out tomorrow. This is the first appearance of the God of Hammers, just in second print. I'm sure many people have missed that issue, as it was just grabbed off the shelves everywhere once people heard what was in it. So this is your chance to get it. Or if you already have that first print, you just want the second print to have all the first appearances of the God of Hammers, here is your opportunity.
I have one as well. This is Timeless. This is the second printing, and they were smart with this. That each of the printings seem to have something a little extra to them.
Yeah.
So this is our first cover appearance of the new Punisher logo that was kind of teased in the part in this where it kind of shows all the stuff coming up. We get that on there, so a lot of people are really excited about that, to see what's in store for Punisher. And we also have the 1 in 25 Bagley, which I think it's funny. It's Bagley, but it's just a really nice design. Miracle Man variant that we are selling for $30. So you can see the Miracle Man logo on there. So another kind of look at what's to come on the cover of Timeless.
All right, so that is our show for this week. We had so much to go over.
People can watch me rehydrate 1,000 times during that.
We started reading as early as we possibly could to get through it all, and we did. So I hope we've done our job, which is telling you the significant thing about these comics that are going to be out this week, letting you know more about what stories are in each one, letting you know where the first appearances are, without revealing too much. So if you read it, you'll still have that fun. We try to walk that line. So yes, there's definitely a lot on the show.
Let us know if you made it to the end of the video for those true diehard fans.
Yeah, and if you're watching on YouTube and you haven't subscribed yet to our channel, please hit subscribe. We are closing in on 1,400 subscribers. It makes me so happy to have that many people care about our show. We've been doing this now for almost 2 years. Put a lot of effort into this. It's nice to see that we're getting some notice. So please hit the subscribe button. And we will be back on Friday with Comics for the Future, where we go over all the comics that are still on open order for this week. And we'll have the newest variant covers, some of which have just released that day. So we will see you then. Have a great rest of your evening or day, wherever.
It started out as day, now it's night.
Yes. So long.